I ignored my destiny once. I cannot do that again. Even for you. I'm the only one who knows that. At least I'm the only one with the will to act on it.
The Mad Titan Podcast with your host, Jay Washington.
What's happening, everybody? I'm back. It is episode 18 of the Mad Titan Podcast with me, your resident supervillain, Mr. Jay Washington. What's going on, people? I want to make sure you all had this out on Friday evening, even if it meant me dropping it by myself. And so you are going to get it. All right? Got it? Good. Thank you to everybody who's been hitting me up, showing love on the podcast, man. Suplex Society on Twitter, I appreciate you much. Everybody who's just now checked out the podcast and is like, yo, this is what I need in my life. This is the type of breakdown of nerddom that I've been waiting for, of the geek culture, and just keeping it real and fluid and not trying to be everybody else, not trying to follow a status quo, not trying to be fitting in a mold. So thank you to all of y'all, man. This week has been crazy. If you follow me on social media, which you should be doing, you will know that this past Wednesday, the 6th of February, is a pretty significant day for me because it is the 1-year anniversary of when I almost died last year. For those who don't know, I got sick right before the Super Bowl. I didn't know how. I don't know where. All of a sudden, I had a very bad sore throat. Went to the hospital twice, and nothing happened. Went to the emergency room twice. And the third time I go, because it got so bad I couldn't swallow water, they had to take me into surgery for an emergency intubation to keep my airway closed. In the process, they had to put me out. Found out I had an abscess that ruptured in my throat, which led them to having to give me an emergency tracheostomy, yes, a hole in my neck, and cut into both of my lymph nodes and drain out pus and air that had my neck swelled up like a fucking cobra. You know when you see a cobra angry as shit, it's just like, yo, picture that on a big black dude, but he just looks sleepy as hell and sad because he's in pain. But it was the year anniversary of that, and it was significant because, again, I wasn't supposed to be here. You know, I had to fight for my life, literally. And it changed my life in so many ways that I'm extremely grateful for, I'm appreciative for. First of all, it gives me a new perspective on life. To realize that some things aren't worth getting angry over, upset over. Some things aren't worth dwelling on. Some things aren't even worth your attention. It made me change my health, the way, my wellness, my working out. Everyone knows I was going to the gym and I was just working out, and I didn't feel like there were any major things I needed to change, but now I'm more disciplined. I'm focused. I see what I need to do. I'm down 130 pounds. I'm blessed. My diet has changed. It's more plant-based than anything. Red meat is pretty much non-existent. I can't even hold it down. So I'm grateful for these things. I'm grateful for being able to be here for my children, to be here for the fans and everything. And so this week was kind of a hectic week on me because mentally it was taxing, because it's a reminder of what I'd gone through. But nonetheless, I'm still alive. I'm still here. Did a few good shows. Did a show in Van Nuys at the Springbok Bar and Grill. It was a kind of decent show. I almost didn't do it. But I ended up going, and I had a great time with that. Matter of fact, let me go back. I enjoyed the Super Bowl with some friends, man. I enjoyed it with my bro, Cody Decker, my bro, friend, co-host of Wrestling Compadre Slamcast, Johnny LaQuasto, with Rich Davis and Steve Cavino of Rich and Cavino show on ESPN and SiriusXM. And we just had a great time. It was a great night, and I just needed those laughs and that fun. And I'm utterly appreciative and utterly grateful for them. And so that, happened this week. Also, on deck today, I want to let you know I got a special interview for you all. I got the chance to talk to stuntman, actor, producer, writer Damion Poitier. Now, the reason that his name may ring a bell is because he was the first Thanos. Yeah, remember at the end scene of Avengers 1 when you saw Thanos? That's Damion. He's also been in Captain America Civil War, HBO's True Blood, and recently he was on this week's episode of The Flash. He was Goldface. So I got a chance to talk to him. I'm going to have the interview. It's going to be at the end of the episode, so it'll be there, for you guys. But let's get into it, man. It's a decent amount of news out here, so let's just get it covered. In Marvel news, Legion, which is one of the dopest shows on television as far as the superhero world go, and just regular TV that will get your mind engaged in something. Like, you know how you have a show where you have to pay attention to it fully? Like, you gotta watch this show to watch this show. You can't have it on in the background and just think you're gonna catch up, because you'll miss everything. Not some of the stuff, you will miss everything. But Legion is going to end on FX with its third season. Now, for them to have a plan of how it's going to end, I am completely, I'm completely great with it. I can't complain. It's going to be a good third season, a final season. And if it goes out with a bang, I'm glad it went out the way it should go out. And it has been successful. It has been a great representation of the X-Men world from this character's perspective. It never fully went in depth as to who David Heller's father was, even though we know that, it's Charles Xavier. We never got all that. We get teases and different things, but it is what it is. Much salute, much love to all the cast of Legion. You all will go on to do bigger and better things. Dan Stevens is already a star, so there's no doubt about that. Noah Hawley can put out pretty much anything. People trusted him with Fargo, this, and, so it's like, let's see where you go from here, right? Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, and everybody had kept throwing Taika's name in the hat to replace James Gunn to direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Well, Taika has officially come out and said he would not be directing Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He said that's like coming in as somebody's stepdad, like, hey kids, I know I'm not your real dad, but I'm your stepdad, and have fun like your real dad, so bam, I'm here. And honestly, I respect the hell out of him for it. That is a monumental task to fill. James Gunn brought something to life that nobody ever thought. I think I'm going to be a repeating robot with this statement, but nobody knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were before James Gunn brought them to life in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Very few people, very few comic book aficionados knew, but the average person had never heard of the Guardians, and especially if you didn't watch like the cartoons, so you didn't know who the Guardians were. But it has been told that they will use James Gunn's script for Guardians 3, which means even though he's not in the director's chair, he will get paid as the writer. So he will still be compensated. Of course, I think we talked about it last week officially, how he is now the director for Suicide Squad. So let's see what happens with that. I'm hoping it'll be great and looking forward to it. Again, Avengers Infinity War is going to be very telling on what the future of the Guardians hold, because as of right now, pre-production on the film is halted. They're supposed to get ready to get started rolling with that, and it's halted. So we will, we'll see what it is. We shall see. Captain Marvel drops next month in theaters. It is the first female solo superhero blockbuster film. It's a lot to say for Marvel. It's long overdue, and it is helmed by Academy Award winner Brie Larson. Well, after its theatrical run, it will go straight to Disney Plus, Disney's new streaming site. It's going to be the first MCU film to do that. Now, if you have been under a rock, you didn't know that almost all of the Marvel films, as soon as they end their theatrical run, close to when it's about time for them to come out on Blu-ray or digital download, they typically go to Netflix. And right now, the last batch of this recent phase is on Netflix. Let's say that. So Thor Ragnarok is available. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Avengers Infinity War. All of these are available on, and more are available on Netflix. This will be no longer. Now, there isn't any word yet on what will happen to the current titles that are on Netflix. Will they get pulled? Now, supposedly all of the Disney films and cartoons, of course, are getting pulled to go to Disney Plus. But like, are they just going to start like, hey, we Disney, we taking our balls and we going home? I don't know why I made Disney sound like a mobster from the 70s out of New York or something. We're taking all our toys and we're going home. Give me that. Yes, I'll take that Captain America Civil War over there. Let me get some of that Thor Ragnarok. Bring the little Meek. It's a little dead guy, but he's not dead anymore. Bring a Meek over there. So we'll see what happens with that. And speaking of the MCU, one of the biggest things people were wondering is what would be the fate of Deadpool. Would he be acclimated into Disney, or would they drop the character? How would they do it? Would he be allowed to be rated R? All these different things. Well, during the same phone call that Disney announced about, during their first quarter's call, where they made the announcement about Captain Marvel going to Disney Plus, they also talked about Deadpool, and CEO Bob Iger says that Deadpool will be allowed to remain R-rated. Okay, he's still going to be able to be the wisecracking merc with the mouth, have a little bit of sarcasm and crude humor. However, he may not go into the MCU proper. So Deadpool may stand alone. And to an extent, that might work. Because the character is a fourth wall breaking character. The character acknowledges things that happens within his own universe and outside of his universe. So for him to be a character and be like, well, you know, there's this whole big thing going on, but for some reason they didn't want me. Things like that. I would love to see that happen. It's just a matter of time of seeing what exactly is done. Speaking of the Avengers in the other universe, Avengers Endgame is said to have a runtime of 3 hours. 3 whole hours. I'm fine with that all the way around. Can't lie to you. But they're also saying that the film may also include an intermission. Well, now there are some pushbacks from it. Some people are saying that it's not it's not the best thing for them to have an intermission. May break the flow of the movie, but who knows? Who knows? I think it's a great idea. If it's a 3-hour film, it's going to be a lot of action-packed. People that don't want to leave their seats to miss anything. But yeah, you don't want anybody getting no damn bladder infection. So why not just give them a break to go ahead and be like, hey, you got to pee? Go on there, get up out of here and go take a piss real quick. Come on back in 5 minutes. I have no problem with that, okay? So that is pretty much all of the Marvel news that I have for this week. The Gifted, I watched it this week, and we're getting a lot more of the Morlocks, as well as Urg, who I believe is the Gifted's version of Bishop because of his mutant ability to absorb energy and redirect it back at you. You get more of that. There was a mutant named Glow who got shot, and because her blood glows, the only person they knew that can give her a blood transfusion was Marcos Eclipse. And so it was great seeing that. Lauren going crazy because now her brother's in her head and the Esme triplets are doing things. Lauren, you got Lorna Polaris being a spy. Then you watch at the very end, Eclipse gets shot up in the car trying to help out. Like, there was a lot of gunshots. Excuse me. There's a lot of gunshots that happened. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I've gotten back into the show a lot more. I said I loved it when I first started watching it. It was a great thing. It was a great take on the X-Men. But I do think they need to stop referencing the X-Men. John is always like, hey, the X-Men entrusted us. Like, yo, the X-Men clearly are dead. So, their entrustment don't mean too much anything else anymore. Well, that is pretty much all of the news that I have, and with the recap from Marvel, let's shoot over to DC. One of the biggest news stories that dropped with DC just today, right before I started recording, is that the Aquaman movie is getting a spinoff. Now, not a sequel yet. Okay, it's not a sequel yet. We know it's made $1 billion, so more than likely it'll get it, but it hasn't been announced. It hasn't been announced to a sequel, and if a sequel happens, it hasn't been announced if Jason Momoa is still in the role. It hasn't been announced if James Wan returns as director, but what has been announced is that they are doing a spinoff to Aquaman, and it is based on The Trench, and I'm here for it. The Trench was one of the darkest scenes and one of the most beautifully shot scenes throughout the entire movie, with those amphibian-like creatures that were coming out the water trying to attack Arthur Curry and Mera. I am here for it. I want to see this movie. I hope it definitely does happen. James Wan will be a producer on the film, so that's a good thing to hear. That lets you know, he still has that eye of what's going on. He doesn't, he's not going to change what they were in the film, okay? In some other news, Batwoman, we now have our villain, okay? We now have our official villainess Alice. Actress Rachel Skarsten is going to play the villainess Alice in the Batwoman series. They say she's going to be the show's principal antagonist, who is described as, quote, the leader of her Lewis Carroll-inspired Wonderland gang, swinging unexpectedly between maniacal and charming, Alice has made it her mission to undermine Gotham's sense of security. Now, in the comic books, if you don't know, Alice is actually Kate Kane's twin sister, Elizabeth. Right? Now, there's no guarantee, though, they will keep this comic book lore and this same suit will follow for the character in the pilot, so can't get really upset about it. But I think that's kind of dope, you know what I'm saying? If they do that, it'll add an extra twist that is needed. And again, it's the first season, it's the pilot season. It really would help to boost this show and give it a lift off, you know what I mean? Because I've been reading a lot of people who've been sending me tweets about Batwoman, and they've said pretty much the same thing. They don't think she's ready for the character, shall I say, is ready for a full season yet. Just give her the pilot, because you didn't really get to know much about her in the Elseworlds crossover. And I kind of agree. I agree. If this pilot, if the crossover was more of a backdoor pilot, like we got with, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, things like that. If it was more of a backdoor pilot where the story focused on them, then I'd rock with it. The thing with the Elseworlds whole storyline was to build up to next season's Crisis on Infinite Earths. So I will wait. I'll reserve judgment on the pilot of Batwoman when I see it. I won't kill it, you know what I'm saying? I won't just shoot it down off jump. I did like what I saw of Ruby Rose in the crossover. I'll admit that. I wish I saw more, and also I wish the girl would eat. Look, everybody knows if you work in entertainment, if you do things on camera, the camera adds to almost 10 pounds. I got that. But girl, you ain't got to be looking like death. You had some substance to you when you was on Orange is the New Black. Somebody get that girl a couple of protein balls and some collard greens, straight up. Arrow's 150th episode did something that was so dope. They did a documentary style for the episode called Emerald Archer, and it brought back every member of Team Arrow that we've come to know and love. You saw Rory Negan, who was Ragman, who decided to leave because his rags wasn't radioactive anymore, and they even managed to get back Thea. Willow Holland appeared for a small spot on the documentary being shot, and it was kind of great. I like the way they did it. Come to find out, there was an anti-vigilante who was hunting vigilantes. He had taken out the Huntress. He had taken out his sister, Emiko, Oliver's sister, excuse me. And they finally got him, but then find out there's another bad guy, and I'm glad we're doing that, because now we didn't stick with the whole Ricardo Diaz and the Longbow Hunters are your main bad guys. We're on the second half of the season, and we got a bigger bad now. I wish the Flash could do that. However, the Flash seems to be on its own. I'll go into the Flash right now. I hate Chris Klein as fucking Cicada. There's no other way I can say this. He is horrible as the bad guy. To watch what he is doing is just, it hurts watching. It's cringeworthy. Okay, the Nora story now with her having Eobard Thawne help her to stop Cicada before he hurts her parents, it gets so confusing. I mean, she's constantly going back and forth in time, and now she's messing with the timeline. And so this next episode of The Flash will show her having more consequences to time travel and time manipulation. I'm like, all right, bet. The best thing we got was they're letting you know this is happening throughout all the shows. Eobard Thawne says a line to Nora, and he says, across infinite Earths. Just saying those three words still reminds you, yeah, I know the Flash is predicated on the multiverse and always talking about different Earths and everything, but this was to show you that, boom, we're still going to talk about that. Do I want to talk about the episode as a whole? Probably not. Iris trying to be a snoopy reporter breaking into Cicada's crib, and he trying to kill her. I'm like, come on, fam. And now she know a way to hurt him. I guess. Black Lightning, yo. The first 5 minutes of this episode were like, holy shit. Anissa gets shot while getting shot. Her and her mom get shot at. Agent Odell appears up with some agents from the ASA. You find out everything that's going on. And we've heard about it in the previous episode, but they are really leaning into the Markovia aspect. And the big thing about that for me is that's the Young Justice element. That's the element that gives you the bigger DC universe as a whole. Because, of course, we can talk about Gotham. We can talk about Metropolis, Central, and Star City. But when you bring in Markovia, you're bringing in the Outsiders. You're bringing in all these other, the MODs, of course. You're bringing all these different elements in, which they are using the MODs in Black Lightning, but they're not doing the Markovia version now. Will they do the Markovia version of the MODs? Only time has yet to tell. But I do like this episode. I like how now Jen is like, yo, let me get a suit. Let's do this. So she's on her hero's journey. So basically her suit is earned, and I'm fine with it. Just the same way Anissa earned her suit. You know, her journey wasn't as extensive as Jen's, but she has her journey. And, you know, now, like, Lynn is like, God damn, my daughter want to be out here with my other daughter and my husband. So it's just, you know, crazy. Gotham. I just wanted to say this from last week that I finally watched something that I thought I should see. And I'm going to say this from the bottom of my heart. Bane is just fucking bad. That Shane Black Bane should never been allowed to happen. That shit is brutal. I hate everybody responsible for it. And don't give me that whole, well, you know, it's the last season, so everything should be good. Like, nah, fam, that's not exactly how that works at all. It's just brutal looking at it. So I just was like, Jesus Christ. But nonetheless, man, that's all the news I have for you right now, Marvel and DC. Right now, let's go straight into the interview with my man, Mr. Damion Poitier. This man has been a staple within Hollywood, whether you knew he was there or not. From being an incredible stunt performer to phenomenal on-camera acting, this brother is a force to be reckoned with. Having been seen in such amazing projects as HBO's True Blood, he is the first live-action Thanos, and to most recently appearing on CW's The Flash as the metahuman underworld boss Goldface. He is a dynamo. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Damion Poitier. What's up, bro?
How we doing?
I'm good. How did that sound? See, that worked. That worked.
Yeah, I like that. No, that was good. That
was
good. I'll go with that.
Okay, good with that. You know, before we started this, I told him, I was like, I got an intro. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it not. He was like, I'll let you know. So hopefully it worked. All right.
Well, yeah. No, I was with it.
So, man, I've been, on top of knowing you, I've been doing some research and following up on you. So I have to ask, stunts or direct acting, which one do you prefer?
Really depends on the project.
Okay.
Honestly. Well, here's the thing. I'm about the storytelling. So there's literally things where I have been like, I'm not the best actor for that, but I would be the best stunt guy for that.
Okay.
You know, where there's roles that I wouldn't actually be like, in terms of what I feel like the character should look like, I don't fit. But in terms of what the character should move like, I can do it.
Gotcha.
So it really depends. Now, there's the acting is in some ways when you're performing easier, because you get more recognition and people are just a little more respectful of you and your time. Mm-hmm. You know, stunts are like the Step Brothers. I mean, they're the Step Brothers of the industry. You know what I mean? Nothing goes on without it. Every time you see a trailer or anything that's talking about a big project, you see the stunts, but there's no Oscar category, there's no yada yada. You know, and depending on how the director and producers feel about the stunt performers, they're treated differently. So as an actor, you don't run into any kind, you know, you're treated pretty much the same if you're an actor on most sets, you know? Yeah. So it's an interesting, so from a working standpoint, working as an actor is actually easier, though it's not always as much fun as working as a stuntman.
Having been a pro wrestler for 15 years, I can imagine how much fun you have doing stunts. But also having acted on projects as well, there's something about being in front of the camera and bringing the character to life. So I completely get that.
And when you get to do both, woo!
Oh, that's what professional wrestling is as a whole. You get to do both, and you like, look, I'm making these 52 people with 7 teeth total love me.
I'm saying.
Now, a lot of people who don't know who you are, who just know about the acting, they don't know one big thing about you like I know. And like myself, you are a big nerd. And that is the best thing. Yeah. That is one of the best things.
I've been in the comic book shop every Wednesday since I was like 9, unless I'm working. Like, I'm about that life. You know? used to play D&D every Saturday, all through high school. You know, like, no, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, how many times have you heard a nerd say, "I'm about that life"? You know what I'm saying? How really I'm about that.
I should put on my profile. I was messing around. I said, you merely adopted the geek life. I was born to it, raised by it. By the time I knew fanboy was a thing, I was already a man.
Because I've seen you've been a part of so much stuff with Legendary. You've done different things, Geek and Sundry, involved with them, and so much. So for you being in some of the projects you've been in, which I'm gonna talk about in a few, is like just being right at home. It's right up your alley.
I mean, I found a way to work in the position, work in the field that I love. So it's always fun. I cannot complain. It's all my favorite place to be. So
with that, working in that field, what was the I have to ask, because I know you've been asked it, but I have to ask it. What was that feeling like when you found out you were going to be Thanos in the original Avengers movie?
Man, I was in a makeup chair, so it was incredibly exciting. And then horrifying at the same time, because the first was exciting, oh my God, I didn't even know he was going to be in the movie. So I was I was just blown away by the fact that wow, they're bringing this level of this early in. That's huge. So I was very excited about that, and I was like, wow, and I'm doing it. I was very excited about that, and then I was like, wow, I can't tell anybody about this.
Gotta love those NDAs, baby.
And if I don't become a superstar in the next 6 months, they're going to recast. So it was super exciting, and then less personally exciting for those reasons.
Yeah, I can understand. I mean, I can definitely understand that, because having been the person we first saw, you would think so when we go further with this, because Avengers Age of Ultron, before it was that, we thought it was going to be the story about Thanos. And so it was this the brother that's going to come in. Next thing you know, they're like, we got Josh Brolin. You're like, wait, Josh Brolin is 5'6". What are y'all doing?
It was a business decision, man. They wanted a name.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
And it's you can't complain. But like I said, I at 6 months to become a superstar. And the funniest part about it was, because I couldn't talk about the fact that I was Thanos, I couldn't use the fact that I was Thanos to become a superstar so that I could keep being Thanos.
Yeah, that's a weird conundrum right there.
Yeah.
You just recently got a chance, and I brought it up. You just recently was on the most recent episode of The Flash. How was it like? What was it like working with Grant and Hartley?
They were awesome. They were absolute, it didn't feel like I was guest starring. It felt like I was hanging with my boys. You know what I mean? They were just really welcoming, and we just had real conversation the whole time, chilling. Everything you could ask for an actor that's going opposite you in a scene, they were there. Man, that whole situation, the cast, the crew, the stunt guys, everybody on that show, just thumbs all around. They were incredibly welcoming, incredibly great. They were just amazing. I had a blast. So, yeah, I can't even.
I'm watching the episode, and I'm like, Damion scared the hell out of me real quick. You got real tough. I was like, hey, man, this man's supposed to be calm, cool, and collective. He out here threatening lives.
I mean, you don't get to be the leader of the underworld if you can't, you got to be able to handle it. So I was like, okay, so what does that look like? What if I was in this position, how would I be?
That makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, and apparently they agree with it. So
now, technically, I know it's not your call, but technically Goldface did not get electrocuted to death, which I thought that's what they did. And I was like, well, damn, y'all just really made sure he was gone. But then when they checked, it was like he's still alive. So is there potential for Goldface to come back?
All I'm going to say is they made a point for Grant to touch my pulse and mention the fact that I was alive. That's all I'm going to say about that. That was not a mistake. That was specifically put in the script, so it is what it is.
It is what it is. We're going to leave it at that real quick. Now, talking to you, and I've known this, and many other people may not, you're actually a hilarious person, just naturally, full of humor and everything, and you've done some comedic projects. And being an actor, if you had the chance to have your own sitcom, what would it be like?
See, I'm actually working on it. So
never mind. See,
it's not really. Yeah, it's not even really a sitcom. It's like it's a sitcom in the same way that Santa Claus died.
Okay.
So it's like Santa. I've had ideas for something kind of crazy for a while, but Santa Cleared His Eye. Once I saw that, and I was like, wow, you can take that medium to that level. And you know what I mean? And I'm an action dude, so there's an action component to it. But it's more on the family situation meets mythological situation end, and that's all I'm gonna say about it.
Okay.
But it's family and mythological, you know what I mean? And it gets, and just the hijinks that ensue in intertwining those two things together.
First of all, I love when somebody can describe a script and the words "the hijinks that ensue" come up, because that automatically piques my interest.
Oh yeah, the hijinks.
It's something about the line "the hijinks that ensue." I don't know. So before we close this out, I'm gonna put you on the spot with a couple of things. I'm gonna put you on the spot, and you're gonna have to answer this. There is no backing out. Okay. Pick one: Marvel or DC.
Marvel.
Okay.
I mean, I've been a Marvel zombie since I was a kid. I've always loved DC, but I've always been a Marvel zombie. You know. Now, recent events are, of course, leaning me in other directions.
Which is what brings me to my next question. Now, you've been in both Marvel and DC. You played one of the baddest Marvel villains around, and you were a damn good DC villain. If you had the opportunity to become anybody in either universe, who would you personally want to be?
See, I can't talk about that because that's, you know what I mean? I'm just saying there's situations around where I shouldn't be talking about that.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can go ahead and put your own guesses and your own conclusions on that if you want. Hey man, Damion, I want to thank you, bro. I know you are super busy, and I want to thank you for taking time out to talk to me. Before I let you go, let the people know they want to find more information on you, get in touch with you, how they can do that.
I'm on everything. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Everything is Damion Poitier. I'm on Tumblr. I'm on Reddit, though I don't check those two as much. But Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, I'm on those all the time. So pretty easy to get a hold of. And my DMs are open on everything. You know, if somebody wants to talk to me, if I'm free, I don't have a problem having a chat with it. You know, so yeah, I'm an easy guy to get a hold of.
I've never heard a superstar say, yeah, I'm on Tumblr and Reddit. You know what I'm saying? I keep all these bases covered. Like, so I'd be everywhere.
Well, just, if I need to step in and say something, they know it was me. You know, sometimes you want to say something. So, and I appreciate the superstar. Thank you very much, sir.
That's what you are, sir. But what I will say this, though, man, I want to thank you for taking time out to talk to me. Like I said earlier, I know you're super busy, bro, and you got a lot to do. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the incomparable Mr. Damion Poitier, and I'll talk to you later, bro.
Yeah, fam. Thank you.
Peace. And I want to thank Mr. Damion Poitier again one more time for stopping through and just chatting it up with your boy. Please make sure you follow him on all his social network sites. Keep up with everything he's got going. And he dropped some teasers and some jewels for y'all that hopefully they come to fruition and whatnot. That's been it pretty much wrapping up this episode, me doing it by myself. But before I get out of here, as always, I want to thank all the members of the Supervillain Squad, man. Akeem J. Brown, Andrew Naley, Brooklyn Vale, David Taylor, Dominic Watt, E.L. Sherrar, Ike Starks, Low-End Lim, Paisley Darts, Quentin, Ruby Rita, Smurfette, and Steve Tozen. Thank you all for joining the squad. If you want to join the squad, I'm asking you all to, please make sure you join. Go to patreon.com/MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. That's Mr. J. Washington. Go over there, man. Join the squad. I'm putting a bunch of interviews and a bunch of content up there that is exclusively for the squad. What I'm doing with all the stuff that comes through the Patreon, I'm helping to grow this. More equipment, be able to communicate with more guests when I go to these conventions, have more interviews and everything else for you all. So I want to be able to help you, and I'm just asking you help me. So please go and join the Supervillain Squad. Find me on Twitter and Instagram. Excuse me. At Mr. J. Washington. It's MRJAY Washington. I spelled it already. Check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JAY Washington80. My review for Glass, I know it's late, is going to be going up, as well as my review of Doom Patrol will be coming out very soon. So you're going to want to check that out as well. I will holla at you guys next week. Please rate and review the podcast, whatever you are listening to. If you are listening to it on iTunes, if you're listening to it on Google Play, Spotify, please rate and review. Yo, you are helping get this seen by more people and heard by more people, and I'm grateful to God for it, and I'm grateful for you all. Thank you for all the reviews. Please keep them coming. If it's been a while since you reviewed, go ahead and do it again. If you haven't done it before, go ahead and drop it, man. To everybody who's been asking, when are you going to see me back on Collider? I just want to address it and say this. That is not my call, unfortunately. I would love to be there as a permanent member of the cast, of the crew, and doing the shows. Your questions never fall on deaf ears with me. I would literally say, please direct those to the appropriate channels, to the producers of the shows, the vice president, the president of Collider. Those you want to see me on, those places you want to see me more of me, you have to let them know. Your voices have to be heard, because I'm just the talent. And let's be honest, in the industries, no matter which industry it is, talent's voice is cut off to the source. You need that rep, and so you all are my representation. You all are that conduit which I need. So please go out, reach out, tell them you want me. Tag them and tag me, whatever. Let's do it. Let's make it happen, y'all. 2019, I want to be all up in your faces. I will holler at you all next week. Till then, take care. I'm out of here. Peace.